to the channel. Today I have brought a mind map from the poem Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda for class 12th. Now, in this poem, the poet he talks about the necessity of quiet introspection to create a feeling of mutual harmony among human beings. This is as a solution. The poet has given it as a solution for the increasing greed, materialism, and hunger for power among nations. So we will be discussing mind map of this poem, Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. So quick and easy understanding for you, and explanation of a few important expressions. The detailed explanation I'll be taking up in the next video and question answers in another video, because otherwise the videos become very long. Now before that, you can watch the video on a last lesson. There's a quick summary, explanation of important expressions from examination point of view. Then my mother at 66, mind map of this poem is also there, and 15 important questions are also covered along with theme, central idea, and title. So all the links are in the description box. Now quickly we begin with the mind map of Keeping Quiet. Now, since it is a long poem, so I've divided it into two parts. So there'll be two mind maps. This is the first part. You can keep your book in front of you and mark what I've included in part 1 and what I have included in part 2. So from the beginning, now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. Now, from here till the brothers in the shade doing nothing. This is part 1. Then from here, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity till the end. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So this I have included in the mind map part 2. Now let's get started with it. So here is the mind map. So it begins, the poem begins. The poet announces that he wants us to do something. And what is that? He wants us to count till 12, and then he says that we will all keep still. We'll all be quiet. And how we'll be quiet? He wants us to be quiet in a particular way. He says that on the face of the earth, on this whole planet, we should not speak any language. So we should be quiet by not speaking any language, by not even moving arms. Now here, why he wants us to do so? He says that by speaking a language, because there are different languages, so language discriminates. Language here also stands for different culture, races, etc. So it creates a divide. Therefore, जो poet है वो चाहता है कि हम कोई language ना बोले उस moment में, ताकि एक universal language जो है वो हम सबके बीच में हो. That universal language is silence. Now then he says that not even move your arms. Be still, totally and completely still. Now why? Because motion, it will divert attention, and here arms also stands for weapons. Weapons, that means there's aggression, and therefore people, they fight among each other. They use weapons against each other. So the poet says that do nothing of that sort during that moment of silence. And then what is the aim? Why the poet wants us to do so? The aim is harmony with nature and fellow beings. So he wants us to have harmony with nature and with fellow beings. So this is the first stanza. Now after that, what will happen when we achieve this silence? So what will happen? We will achieve an exotic moment. So that exotic moment is a fantastic moment, an unusual, a rare moment that we will achieve. And in that moment, there'll be no rush. Without engines, no machinery will be used, and we will all be together. We'll all be together. Everything will come to a halt, and without any rush and mechanical activity, the aim again is introspection, mutual understanding, and brotherhood. So when everything will come to a halt, we will be silent. So we will sit and we'll introspect, and we will self-discover ourselves, and there'll be understanding and brotherhood. So वो एक moment होगा bliss का, एक moment होगा जिसमें harmony होगी. And then he talks about the fishermen. Next stanza, the poet talks about fishermen in the cold sea who would not harm whales then, because एक moment of introspection जो है उसके बाद एक exotic moment achieve हो जाएगा. So उस moment में कोई भी किसी को harm नहीं करेगा. So human beings, they'll even not harm nature. Now fishermen here also stands for the people who are in power and they oppress the weak. So there will be nothing like that. So oppression of man on his fellows will stop. Destruction of nature will also stop. And then he talks about the man gathering salt. So here it represents common man, the workers who are busy working to gain money. So all the time they are busy for material things and they want to gather more and more material things. In doing so, they forget that they are harming themselves. They are harming themselves physically as well as emotionally. They are in a hurry for material gains. And when this moment of silence will be achieved, then they'll be able to tend to their physical and emotional injuries. So उस moment में वो अपने ऊपर ध्यान दे सकेंगे, अपनी physical और emotional injuries को वो tend कर सकेंगे, उन्हें ठीक कर सकेंगे. Now after that he talks about the power-hungry governments, the power-hungry bureaucrats, the politicians, those who prepare for green wars, wars with gas. Green wars means wars against environment, war with gas, then war with fire, that is using the weapons and chemicals, polluting the environment, industrial pollution, chemical pollution, all kind of pollution, and people fighting and using weapons against each other to gain power. So he says, the poet says that even if there's a victory, so that will be a victory with no survivors. When there'll be no survivors, then because of the use of chemicals and weapons, humanity will be in danger. So people will die. Then what's the use of such victory? Victory with no survivors. And then he says that in that moment of silence, so these people, they will put on clean clothes. Now, clean clothes here stands for detoxification. It is searching the soul, and people will realize that what they are doing against their fellow human beings. So they'll detoxify, they'll put on clean clothes, and they'll move towards peace and harmony. A new perspective will come, a new viewpoint will arise, and they will walk in hand in having hand in hand with their brothers in the shade of harmony. So they are walking together in harmony. So now this is the first mind map till the first part of the poem that I've given. Now I'll continue and move on to the mind map part 2 for rest of the poem. So now quickly, let's do that. Now this is the second part. Now in the second part, the poet, he is saying that don't be confused. Don't be confused that that moment of silence जो है वो एक total inactivity का moment है. So he says that it's not at all total inactivity. What he says I want, it should not be confused with total inactivity. Total inactivity, he says, that equals to death. And he says that I have no association with death. I don't want any association with death. Life is a continuous process. So he says that no association with death, that is the phrase that is given, no truck with death. So life is the continuous process, and stopping doesn't mean here that your life will stop. Death has to come, it is a reality, but life means to move on. And then he says that if only people, they are not single-minded. They are single-mindedly, they are just thinking of the material gains. And if they are not single-minded, and if they just don't keep on moving their lives for gaining material things, during that moment of silence, then they will treat their sadness. Now people, they become stressed, they become sad, because of the haste, because of all the time they are thinking about gaining power, all the time they are thinking about earning money. So they are stressed and they become sad. So in that moment of silence, when they introspect, when they realize that what they actually are and what they really want, so it will interrupt this sadness of never understanding themselves. So in that moment of silence, they will be aware of their actual requirements. They'll be aware of their actual needs. And then he says that rather than moving towards death, they will become at peace with themselves. So then he talks about an example that Earth is a great teacher. From Earth we can learn so much. Now what he says that what we can learn from Earth is, he says that during winter, so Earth, it seems dead. Everything slows down during winter, but actually it's not death. So as also during night, so everything is sleeping. During winter, many creatures, they go under hibernation. So it seems that things have come to a halt. It seems that everything is dead, but actually it's not dead. So after some time there'll be spring. After night there'll be morning, and this activity, there'll be new enthusiasm then. So there will be new blossoming of new leaves and flowers. And then again the poet says that now, once you've achieved this, and once I've told you how to achieve this silence, now we'll count till 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So giving us a solution, providing us a blueprint, the poet says that now you be ready for achieving that silence, that moment of that exotic moment, and I will leave. So this is the poem, the mind map. For quick understanding, detailed explanation, I'll be making another video for the same. Now, what you have to do, you just need to subscribe, and a few important expressions I'll be explaining. These are the image credits, the images that I have used, the explanation of important expressions here. Now count to 12. Now here it can signify the number of hours or the months in a year. Throughout the hours of the day or throughout the year, we are in a hurry. We are hurried to achieve something, rushing from one thing to another. So the poet wants us to be still for a moment, be in unison and perceive stillness, to look inside. If we consider ourselves as the hands of the clock that are different and on the go all the time, there will be a moment when all the hands will be one. So that moment is when they reach 12. So again, the significance, 12. No differentiation between hands during that moment. So the poet wants us to achieve that moment and utilize it for some introspection. So therefore, the poet has called that moment as an exotic moment. Then the phrase on the face of the earth. It means on the whole earth, on this planet. Third is, let's not speak in any language. On a wider scale here, language denotes culture, which springs up differences. Different culture, races, languages, it all creates barriers and divide. So therefore, the poet says that let's be quiet. Silence is a universal language. Now, fourth one. Not move our arms so much. The poet wants us to be still, motionless in that moment. He doesn't want us even to move our arms or to act in some way. It also points at the stillness of the weapons, arms and ammunition. He says that no weapons to be used against anyone. Then exotic moment. So it is the moment achieved by keeping still, a moment of total inactivity, a state of bliss for introspection, to know who we really are. So that exotic moment is a fantastic moment, unusual and a rare one. Then sixth is in a sudden strangeness. The moment that will be achieved, it will be an exotic one, never witnessed before, rare in its kind, an unusual feeling when no one will rush after mechanical routine, that is life, a haste. A sudden harmony will be achieved. So that is sudden strangeness, a sudden harmony, not achieved before. These are the last four. So, would put on clean clothes. Now, here the poet says that during that period of silence, a change will occur. So, there'll be a new perspective. People, they'll detoxify. So, aggression will go. Hatred and hunger for power will also go. So, it will clean our souls. There'll be harmony. Thus, wearing clean clothes symbolizes living in harmony, brotherhood, and peace. Then life is what it is about. The poet wants to convey that life is a continuous process. Life cannot be brought to a standstill. It is moving on and not stopping. I want no truck with death. The poet here says that he has nothing to do with death. He refuses to associate with something that is a reality and cannot be changed. So death is a reality, it cannot be changed. So why worry about death? He says that let's not worry about death, but life. Where are we heading in our life? So that is important. And poets wants us to move towards harmony, to have peace with one another. Then the last one, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. So the poet is referring to winter season when everything on earth seems dead because life slows down. Animals, they hibernate. So there was gloom around. But later, that is after this period of stillness, there is spring season of rejuvenation. So similarly, after this moment of silence, the moment of introspection, there'll be newborn harmony and peace. So these are the explanations, a few explanation of a few important expressions. Detailed explanation, as I told you, in the next video, and question answers in another video. So 3 videos on this poem. So bye for now. You just need to subscribe to the channel. Happy watching.